And joining me now with reaction to all of this is Fox News contributor, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. Governor, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, Sean. Thank you.
All right, well, let's first get your thoughts. I know because I was emailing you a little bit during the night last night. I was glued to Fox coverage. You were watching the coverage. And your thoughts generally about the primary, the caucus last night in Iowa?
It was such an exciting night, and if not predictable for some of us, which I had predicted much of that last night, I felt that it kind of felt like it was as it should be at this point in the race with the finishes. Strong finishes, great speeches by all the candidates afterwards. I think the speeches really foretold what we have to look forward to with, for instance, Gingrich saying, you know, he basically has learned a lesson that you can't win a ball game being on defense the whole time, and after facing, what was it, about $17 million in negative ads in Iowa, he's going on offense, and he's going to defend his truth, his record, and his intentions and how he wants to lead the country. Santorum's speech, too, very powerful, very sincere and heartfelt, and, you know, he spoke to the working class, and I think he left Americans with a sense of real optimism for working class Reagan Democrats and the GOP and independents to know that it will be GOP policies that can turn this thing around and get our economy back on the right track. His speech was so good, he even kicked it off with my favorite, C.S. Lewis, and a good quote there about freedom and about, you know, what we feel in our heart and how we manifest that. And Santorum had a strong showing last night, and he has a lot to be proud of.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's a tribute to his hard work, perseverance, his skills as a politician. He hung in there, and a lot of retail politics. He went to town hall meetings where only one person would show up, and he'd spend time with that one person. But he also had good timing. Why do you think it was so late in the game for him to surge? Why was as the Gallup poll showed, why is this the most volatile primary for the GOP in the history of polling since the advent of polling?
Well, there in Iowa, it was a good place for Santorum to be and to rise to the top. And even though he was 8 votes short, I think most people would say that he was the one who rose to the top because for many it was unexpected, his finish. But Iowa there with, I believe, sort of a microcosm of America when you consider medium income, when you consider education levels. I think Iowa really represents much of America and the voters who are going to show up in a general election. So, you know, very good showing there for Santorum. Very strong, I think, and again, in his speech, as he articulated what it is that he intends to do for the working class, I think that would lead most people to believe that we can be optimistic about this field going forward in the primary and then eventually finding that person to face Obama and the failed policies that Obama has done to this country that got us on the wrong track.
Now, Rick Santorum is not a rookie. He is, I think, a very strong conviction politician. I think he really stands on his principles, whether it hurts him in the polls or not. And I always view that as a strength. But the difficulty now for him is, can he withstand the scrutiny that came to Rick Perry and Michelle Bachmann and Herman Cain, who's going to join us later, and Newt Gingrich? How do you think he's going to be able to handle all that? Because you know it's coming, and I think he knows it's coming.
You know it's coming because it's happened over these months to all those numerous candidates that you have just mentioned. But even more so, my concern is for the GOP candidate who wins this primary as they go forward to face the Obama presidential ticket machine and really the thuggery that is involved in that. That's where my concern is. And I believe, let me change the subject just a little bit here, I believe that Senator McCain today, in his endorsement of Mitt Romney, Senator McCain and I, we're the only ones in America who have ever had to face that Obama presidential ticket machine and all that it encompassed. And what it encompassed really was, you know, this unscrupulous, gimmicky scheme that it was. And Senator McCain evidently has chosen Mitt Romney as the one to be most prepared to face this thuggery, this scheme that he's going to have to face.
Well, it's going to be very different, though, because this time he can't run on his record. Last time, you know, it was a lot of rhetoric and prompter reading and hope and change and bumper stickers. Why do you think, because all throughout this process, since the very beginning, Governor Romney's had a hard time breaking that 25% ceiling and inspiring conservative voters. Why do you think he's struggling in that area?
Because in the past, his positions haven't always been conservative positions. I mean, he still defends to this day the mandate that constituents would have to buy health care. And, you know, as he did in Massachusetts, he said he wouldn't do that nationally, but he did do that in a state, and that rubs people wrong because the majority of Americans understand how onerous and burdensome and job-killing Obamacare is. And, you know, the prototype for Obamacare evidently was Romney Care. So that's a problem there. But where people are keeping an open mind today and where you see the support that Romney does have is people who are believing that Romney is saying, well, some of the positions that he's taken in the past, he's done a 180 on it. Now he truly is, as he preaches, pro-life. Now he truly does believe in reducing taxes and the barriers to the working class as we try to progress without the government doing it for us. So positions have changed in Romney's camp as he espouses today.
I haven't. I didn't want to embarrass the governor and the senator, but you guys ran some hard-hitting ads against Mitt Romney, or at least Senator McCain did in the primary last time. We'll talk about that when we get back. Also, you had an admonition for the Republicans as it relates to Ron Paul, and you touched on the issue of Newt Gingrich having just playing defense, and he needs to go on offense. So we'll get into all of that if you stay with us. And we continue with Fox News contributor, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. Okay, so I'm watching the endorsement of your former running mate, John McCain, who we just had on with Mitt Romney today. They were really clashing. A lot of people are worried about this process and whether or not in the end, you know, Republicans are going to beat themselves up. Let me just play this, and I want to ask you a question about it afterward. This was a McCain ad called The Tale of Two Mitts.
I believe that abortion should be safe and legal in this country. I will preserve and protect a woman's right to choose, and am devoted and dedicated to honoring my word in that regard. I am pro-life and favor that legislation. You will not see me wavering on that or be a multiple choice. Thank you very much. You can go back to YouTube and look at what I said in 1994. I never said I was pro-choice, but my position was effectively pro-choice. I've said that time and time again. We do have tough gun laws in Massachusetts. I support them.
I support the Second Amendment. I purchased a gun when I was a young man. I've been a hunter pretty much all my life.
Small varmints, if you will. Look, I was an independent during the time of Reagan-Bush. It's time for Republicans to start acting like Republicans. I'm not trying to return to Reagan-Bush.
All right, here's the question I have, because maybe do you think that is the heart of where the governor's had problems with conservatives? And there's two interpretations of that. Ann Coulter, who I know, like, and respect a lot, thinks, no, that's Governor Romney in a blue state like Massachusetts outsmarting the Democrats because, for example, on abortion, he never signed any law that was against life. Or do you think that maybe he's changed his views, or do you think people are suspect? How do you interpret it?
I think people are suspect of some of these positions that he espouses today based on what his record is. I think that ad was effective back in the day when McCain ran it because McCain was showing Romney's positions as opposed to Senator McCain's steadfastness when it came to life, when it came to strong military, when it came to the consistency and those things that he believed in and served for all those years in the U.S. Senate. So it was effective at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, at the time, that raises the next question. Here's John McCain now endorsing him. Mitt Romney went out and campaigned for John McCain. So maybe as we stand back, as intense as this is probably going to get in the next 3 weeks, is that a reminder that at the end of the day that you suspect that the Republicans will unite and realize that Barack Obama is the one that really needs to be defeated?
John McCain's endorsement of Mitt Romney is a reminder that we must have as our aim defeating Obama and his socialist big government job-killing policies. It's not to defeat one another. It is a contested, aggressive, pretty rough and tumble primary process that we go through, but it is a good process because candidates are vetted. But we still have many months to decide who it is that can best lead us to progress this country. And it's another thing that C.S. Lewis talked about when he talked about progress. And if you erase from your mind the hijacked term progressive that the left has kind of taken over and tried to make us sound like progress and progressive means big government, government is the answer. If you consider what C.S. Lewis said about this, he said, the man who can best and soonest lead a wrong road trip over to the right road, and in this case it's our country that's on a wrong road, get it on the right road. He who progresses fastest to that right road is the most progressive, and it is what is needed. That's a good C.S. Lewis lesson about what it is that we need today, and you know, that's what this primary process is all about. Who it is that we can find to, as soon as possible, get our country back on the right road to progress.
Is there anyone that you see that you think, have you made up your mind yet? Do you think you might be endorsing at any time, Governor?
McCain found his person much sooner than I was able to find my person. No, I'm still in that process with probably 70% of Americans trying to decide.
You mentioned earlier about Newt Gingrich. When Mitt Romney landed today in New Hampshire, he saw a full-page ad by Newt Gingrich calling himself the Reagan conservative versus the Massachusetts moderate, is how he's been clarifying Mitt Romney. It looks like you said that Newt only played defense in Iowa. Obviously, things you expect are going to change. How does that change the race?
Newt has every right to defend his record and his intentions on how he would like to lead this country, because there were evidently untruths told about Newt and what it is that he has done in the past and what he wants to do in the future. So he now is evidently going to go on offense and start talking about what the truth is. He has every right to do that. Again, that's part of this rough and tumble process that we go through. And at the end of the day, though, we got to all remember that we can campaign aggressively but fairly and truthfully. All
right, two quick questions. You had an admonition last night. I was watching your interview with Bret Baier, and you said that the Republican Party better not ignore Ron Paul's supporters. I tried to get out of Ron Paul the last time I interviewed him if he would pledge not to run third party. He wouldn't say definitively. Expand on what you were trying to say last night.
Well, I don't blame him today for not saying definitively whether he would or wouldn't run a third party, because he is, as he claims, in it to win it as a GOP nominee to face Obama in the general. So what I meant last night, and I think this should be one of the biggest lessons that the entire GOP and independents take from this primary process, is Ron Paul's supporters are quite adamant, quite solid in their support for kind of this libertarian view of government reining itself in, having the people rein in our government, quit overspending, clean our own porch, sweep our own porch before we start intervening in other countries that we can't afford today to be able to intervene in. And we can't marginalize these supporters. If we do, Sean, they will try to mount a third-party candidacy, and I think that a third-party candidacy only strengthens Obama's re-election chances.
It'll split the anti-Obama vote, and we're going to have Donald Trump on later, and we'll talk to him in the days to come. One last question. I asked this of Senator McCain and Governor Romney. I wanted your campaign, and it came out after the campaign, I wanted your campaign back in 2008 to be more aggressive against Barack Obama's radicalism. We spent a lot of time investigating it. Do you think this time, whoever gets this nomination, that they need to be more aggressive?
No question. Need to be more aggressive, need to be forthright with the voters when we talk about Obama's record, when we talk about his associations. It's not negative campaigning to just start talking about what it is that he represents, where he came from, and I'm not talking about physically where he was born or anything else, but I mean what it is that influenced him in his way of thinking, why he would believe that European socialist policies would work in our republic. Obviously they don't work. I mean, look what's happening to our economy under Barack Obama. So I wouldn't hesitate to be even more aggressive, and you know, it truly is the future of our country that is at stake here as we're on the precipice going into this general election. So yes, the GOP nominee has got to just do all that they can to speak truth and to help educate the voters about who Barack Hussein Obama is.
2012, the year to defeat Obama and save America. I'm saying it every day on my radio show. Governor, good to see you.
Yep.
And time to check in with